Hey, Facebook. Hey, 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 hey. Guess what time it is? It's time for the Ruby Girl Talk Show. Tonight, we are going to be talking about legacy. And legacy is so important. You might think it's not important because you're like, hey, I'm living right now. But guess what? There's two things that happen to people. One, they're born, and two, they die. You cannot get, like Les Brown said, you cannot escape this earth unless you die, or unless some UFO come down and grab you, which I doubt it. But anyway, we have Miss Whitney as our guest tonight. But before we get started, Miss Whitney, before you introduce yourself, what I want you to do is to go on my page, find this video, and you can share it. And so
I
while
just
you
did.
do that, I'm gonna give y'all my $1 million commercial. I'm gonna personally be my commercial representative. So thank you once again for tuning into the Ruby Girl Talk Show. Ruby Girl comes from Proverbs 31 and 10. Who can find a virtuous woman, for her price is far above the price of a ruby? So, ladies, come on. This special is for you. It makes you rare, virtuous, and as always, you are so valuable. Go to rubygirl.net so that you can get a t shirt like I got, and you can rock the Ruby Girl brand and get you some ebooks. I have free ebooks on there. And so you can get you a free ebook, get you a little quick read, and I got some books out there that I do want you to purchase. But as a disclaimer, I got an AI masterclass coming up this Friday. So go on there and register for the AI masterclass. Listen, if you're not familiar with AI or you think you know a little AI, get in the class with Coach K. I'm going to take you to a whole nother level. I'm going to take my time with you. And you got to know AI, because guess what? If you don't know AI, guess who's going to take your job? The people like me that know AI. So, all right, rubygirl.net, go find my AI masterclass. You got time to register. So, all right, let's get into this show tonight. I am so excited. So, Miss Whitney, I want you to introduce yourself.
Hi. So thank you first. Let me say thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. You just got me hyped. Like your introduction was everything. So I'm really grateful to be here today. My name is Whitney Thompkins. I am the owner of Your Family, Your Legacy, which is an independent life insurance brokerage that specializes in children's policies and policies for growing families. I am currently licensed in over 30 states, and that can be found on yourfamilyyourlegacy.com, Your Family Your Legacy on like Facebook, Instagram, and also TikTok. I provide so many informational videos. Like I tell people, you don't have to go with me, but at least get the information from me so when you go to the right person, that you know what you're talking about.
Now, I like that introduction. You gave us every point of contact we can think of, newspaper subscription, whatever, to get in touch with you. So, thank you for that wonderful introduction. So, tonight, y'all, this is serious. This is really
Not
serious.
too serious.
Okay, not too serious. I have to hype it up a little bit. I got to get them to lean in just a little bit. So, the reason why I say it's really serious, because the subject that we're talking about is a subject that a lot of people don't want to address, but they want to do. Like, you want to leave something for your family, but you don't understand how to do it. So Whitney is going to give you some tips, some tricks, and everything you need to learn how to leave a legacy. A legacy is what you work on now. Legacy is what you leave when you leave out of here. So you want to leave generational wealth. Think about it. I think of the Walmart founder. I think he's Sam Alton. I think that's his name. No, no, Walmart founder. I just put it like that. So he owns Walmart. This man's been dead for a long time. His family's still rich, still
And
gonna be
Sam's Club.
rich.
And Sam's Club.
And Sam's Club. And so
Mhm.
they're going to be rich. Generational wealth was created off one person idea, one person's sweat, blood, and tears. And so let's get into this conversation tonight. So, Whitney, I want you to educate the audience about what a family life insurance advisor does or is.
Okay, great question. So, um, I call myself a life insurance advisor, but I also like to go by legacy planner. And the reason why is because when people hear life insurance, like that was my first hurdle. So, life insurance, we all have a life insurance person in our family or a friend. And when they come around and they say they sell life insurance, everybody gets tensed up because they know they're trying to get a sale. So I had to figure out, like, how do I set myself apart? Like, how do I make myself not just another person trying to sell something to individuals, but really trying to educate them? So I said, well, I have to first start with my title. I can't be calling myself a life insurance agent if I want people to look at me from a different perspective. So I went into the advisor kind of approach. Let me advise you. Let me talk to you about what the products can do, how they work. And then I took it a step further when I actually the legacy planner came in like a year later. So you think you know what your business is going to be at the beginning. You're like, oh, it's going to do this, until you get in it and you realize where the need is, how people need to be served. Then you have to sometimes pivot a little bit. And I realized that the biggest hole that was happening, like especially like within my community, was legacy planning. I said, we're planning for everything but legacy. Like we're planning for, oh, what are our kids go to college? What school they're going to go to? What's my next job going to be? Where I'm going to live after I retire? When I'm going to do all these things, but no one is saying, what type of legacy am I going to leave once I'm no longer gone? Once I'm no longer here? And I know that that was something that people wasn't really considering, thinking about. Let's take it a step further. Let's actually plan for our legacy. Let's not just give our kids whatever's left over after we used all our 401k. Whatever's left over, then you can get it. Or after I lived in this house and now I don't want to live here no more, now you can have the house. I done used it all up, and now I'm gonna give you the crumbs of what I didn't use. And that's been our plan. We're gonna give them the crumbs after we've used all that we needed to use. But legacy planning said, you know what? No, I'm putting something aside specifically for you. It's specifically for you. I'm thinking about you. I'm putting this to the side to make sure you have this when I'm no longer here. And that is the conversation that I'm having. Like, let's really plan for our legacy. Let's not just leave it to happenstance.
I like that. I was thinking crumbs. I was thinking about a whole loaf of bread. Sometimes we leave the ends. We done, like you said, we done
Yes.
had all the good part in between the
Yeah.
bread.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody, I don't know anybody that likes the ends. Cause
Mm-hmm.
I'm like this. When I bite into a sandwich, I peel off the top part. I cannot bite into the crust. So I definitely don't want the ends that somebody left. And I think about how my mindset was some years ago. I didn't have insurance, life insurance. I didn't care about it because I'm like, I'm gonna be dead. I was like, they can put me in a cardboard box. I don't care. I'm gonna be dead. But that's the wrong mindset to have, because you gotta be a good steward over your resources so that even when you're gone, because you think about it, Jesus left an awesome legacy. It's forever and forever and forever. When he was here, he was more so planning for when he went and preparing everybody for when he left than when he was here. And that's how we should be. We shouldn't be leaving debt. We shouldn't be leaving GoFundMe. That should not be the plan for your end of life. So I'm glad that you are passionate about this. So how did you become so passionate about legacy?
So it's funny. So I've always I've had a life insurance policy on myself since I was 24 years old. I had no kid. I didn't have a kid. I wasn't married. I was just a single young lady. And I remember I forgot my first apartment and I bought a car. And it was like a really nice car. I was like excited about this car. It was like my first big girl purchase. And I remember I thought about it like, well, what happens to me? What happens to this car if something happens to me? And then I thought like I would want my parents to be able to keep the car, but they would need to be able to pay it off. And that thought triggered into, well, what would happen to my parents if something happened to me? And I thought, my mom was a stay at home wife. My dad is the only one work. He's worked his whole life. He probably will work his whole life. I know he didn't have like a retirement set up. I always say my parents' investment were their kids. So they invested in us, hoping, they didn't invest in the stock market and did we were their investment. So I thought, that would be tough losing a young kid like that. I was like, you know what? I could at least look into getting some life insurance. So if something does happen to me, they would be able to, my dad could take a year off of work. They could keep the car. They could figure some things out. And I reached out to an agent. I reached out to a few people, and the quotes were like, for me, young, healthy. I mean, I was paying $7 for $100,000 life insurance policy. Yeah, now I wasn't educated on like the true value of the different types of policy. I remember the lady sat down. She was like, "There's two policies. One is a term, and it's $7, and the other one is a whole life policy. And 25 years old, thinking I know a little bit, I was like, oh, the whole life policy is the one with cash value. She was like, it is. I said, okay, well, give me the $7 one. See, that should have been her cue that I didn't know what I was talking about,
Yeah.
because I'm saying it deals cash value, but I didn't see the value in it. Like, if she would have just took it one step further, because I was making decent money. I didn't have a lot of financial responsibility. I could have paid $49 for the policy. And fast forward, when it was time for me to have my daughter, I could have maybe pulled some money out to help with maternity leave. I could have had to pull some money out when we bought our home. It was a lot of things that I could have benefited having some cash value available in my policy, but I wasn't educated on it. So I just grabbed the cheapest option. So fast forward. So this is at 25. I bought a policy. I set it and forget about it. Don't think about it again. My degree's in marketing. So I started working in marketing. I was working, one of the jobs that I took was for a financial company. And he was an insurance agent. He was a producer, but he did insurance and he did investing. And I was his marketer. So I was like, oh, who want to market insurance? And but I needed a job and I needed the money. So I was like, well, just do it for a year and just move on. I said, okay, I could do that. So I sat down my first day, and day after day, I was like, oh my God, it's so much for me to learn. Like, I was like, they're doing what? And this was right in my backyard, probably 20 minutes from my house. And there was concepts and conversations that were being had in this office that I had never heard before. And I was like, well, let me stay a little longer just to get the information for myself. And that's all I thought. Like, okay, they bought something, I bought it. Like, I want one because I'm doing what y'all doing. And after a while, 1 year turned into 6 years. I ended up getting my insurance license, and I realized like there is very few people that walk through these doors that look like me. So what do I do? Do I sit here with this information and just hold on to it and just live my great, wonderful life? Or do I figure out a way to communicate and spread this information to the people who look like me? And I did that. I stepped away and I started Your Family, Your Legacy. I started educating people, started posting online, and I remember I said, I want to be the number one life insurance agent in Michigan. And a lady was like, Michigan, you should really think about getting other licenses. And I was like, no, I'm good. Number one agent in Michigan. And I was on a live similar to this. It was not planned. He asked a question about insurance. And my friend texted me and was like, a guy is on live asking about insurance. You should really hop on because you know a lot about it. I said, okay, I'm gonna hop on. So I hopped on the live and he was like, can anyone tell me about this? He was buying a policy and he wanted more information. So I hopped on. We started talking. It went for an hour conversation. He had 1,000 people on that live, and I had no idea. Soon as we got off the phone, my website went bananas, like ding, 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 all over the United States, ding, 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 and I just started getting more licenses.
Oh my goodness. Talking about going viral just
It
by
was
having a
crazy.
conversation. But you
Yeah.
know what? It's two things our culture lack on is insurance and investing. Two things that makes the wealth gap so much wider, for us. And we know back in the days, there were certain things we were not allowed to do, but now we're allowed to do whatever we need to do. So that you would think that gap would be getting smaller, but my people perish for lack of knowledge, not just because of lack of knowledge of the word, but lack of knowledge in business and in life skills. And so I thank you for being out there educating people, period, about life insurance. It's just something you just like, okay, I need this when I die to leave money to my family and to bury me. That's all you think it's about. Like you said, you could pull some out for if you bought your house. I didn't know that you could, pull cash for your life insurance policy. I thought it was just for people that was left after you were dead. That's how I always thought. But by being around people like you, I'm learning that I wish when I was in my 20s and I was smart and I knew certain things that I needed, but I didn't get it because when you're young, you think death is so far away.
So
You
far
think
away.
old age is so far
Yes,
away. But let me tell you,
it's
yesterday
so
I was
fast.
26. Okay? I done some years today, but yesterday I was living carefree club and everything. Now my knees hurt when I get up out the chair. I'm like, what happened? So I'm telling you, if you're in your 20s, get you some life insurance now. Look, the clubbing, the outfits, the designer purses and stuff don't mean anything. Get you some life insurance, and you might be like, oh, this a long way off, but as Whitney will confirm, the longer you wait, the more it's gonna cost you. Am I right?
You're 100% right. And the more benefits you have, you have so many more benefits when you start early. Ideally, we really should be buying it on our children. Like I would tell people, a life should have life insurance. When do you buy your car insurance? Do you wait till you've had the car for 5, 10 years? And then you say, oh, I need to really put some insurance on this car. No, you get it before you pull off the lot. You're saying with your mortgage. They don't even give you the keys to nothing until you can prove that you have proof of insurance. And the sad part about it is because other people are behind that asset. So with them, they want to make sure they're protected. But with life insurance, it only protects your family. So there's not a huge corporation that's behind it saying, no, you need to protect it. You need to protect it. So we take that as is not valuable. It's just not valuable to them. It's really one of our biggest greatest asset is each other and our family and our the loved ones that we have that we should be assuring. But because the corporations and the rules and the laws haven't determined that is important, we don't value that as important.
You're right. It's we discussed. I was saying when I was born, and I was born in Mississippi. I don't know if it's a Mississippi thing. Tell me if it's a up north thing too. But when a child was born, you got two things: a savings account and insurance, life insurance. It was guaranteed. My grandmother, we were on fixed income. I think together we had like $600 a month. My grandmother, the insurance guy would come out. This when you got that good insurance service, would come out to your
It wasn't
house.
that good. We'll talk about it.
Oh yeah, we gonna. But the customer service was.
Yeah.
He would literally come out once a month and collect her insurance payment. And my grandmother would just make sure she put aside her insurance money and her ties. She made her ties. She made sure those two things she didn't even play with. I don't care if we had to go without some meat or something. She made sure when that guy came, she opened up her little handkerchief, girl. She would is that's another story. And pull out her little money. But that's the thing. It was like they understood that generation the value of being allowed to have insurance. Where I think we have gotten so far away from what we can't have that we just like, oh, okay, we have a choice, to
Yeah.
have it or not, instead of not realizing that it's not a choice. You need insurance. And I know they call it life insurance, but I'm like, shouldn't it be called death insurance? Because it's really death when it's insured about your death more so than your life. But now that you explain it to me, I understand it can be used while you're living also. So, so how important? Now, this is the question we talked about. So, you got life insurance. How important is it to let your family know about your policy, and what can happen if you don't let them know?
Nothing. If you don't you buy a policy and you don't tell nobody about it, you might as well not bought a policy. It's so funny. I had someone asked me this on social media, and I kind of assumed that the life insurance companies did like a sweep of the death records. Like every month or so, they sweep the death records just to make sure that the policyholder didn't pass away. And when I did my digging, they do not do a sweep. They do not do a sweep. The life insurance company will not know you passed away unless someone notifies them. So just imagine, I think at one point it was like 1 point something billion of life insurance payouts go unclaimed.
Oh,
So that means that these are people who had life insurance, and these are people that the life insurance company know that they passed away, but no one claims them. And why is that? Because we don't want people to know that they're the beneficiary, or we change the beneficiary. We don't notify people, but it's so important to have that communication because you're already stressed enough when you lose a loved one, but now I have to kind of dig through your bank statements and your mattress and all these areas to try to figure out the name of the company. What's your policy number? What was your policy number? How much was your death benefit? Because to be honest, thank God the life insurance companies won't do this because it's illegal. But if you never tell them how much it is, the life insurance company said, "Oh yeah, they had a policy. It was $10,000, and they pay it out, but it was 100,000. But you never told them, so is they don't even know what they should be expecting." And
Okay.
I even have this a lot with work policies. People will say, "Oh yeah, we have policies through our job. How much is it?"
Mhm.
I don't
Okay.
know. So you have a policy that's supposed to protect your life and take care of your children, but you have no idea what that amount is. What if it's only $50,000 and you have a $400,000 mortgage?
Mhm.
What if it's $100,000 and you guys have four children? Like that is a number you should know. You should know how much life insurance you have, and the beneficiary should know that they are the beneficiary. And then as it changed, I get you might not want to say it because I'm not going to keep them on there, but just update it as you go, and then let the new one know. But they have to know because a life insurance company does not automatically do a sweep of records. They will not know you pass away. They will assume the policy lapsed and they will close it out. And you've been paying on that policy for 40 years and never told anyone, and now that death benefit is gone.
Oh wow.
And
So
there's
it's
actually a website, I'm gonna send it to you, where
okay.
you can go. It's two websites I send people. One is the is NAIC, is the National American Insurance Association or something like that. But what it is when someone passes away, and I tell people just to do it, you put in their date of birth, their social security number. It would do a sweep of every company that ever inquired about that person. So any inquiry on life insurance, they will notify all the companies they passed away on this date. Did they have a policy? And if they did, that company will reach out to the listed beneficiary.
Oh my goodness. Somebody
Yeah,
listen that's out there watching. Please put it in the chat.
yeah. And then the
Please.
other one is
Matter of
unclaimed
fact, let
property.
me go out there and I'm personally gonna put it in the chat. So give it to me again.
Well, you will have to look it up because it's let me you will have to look it up. But one is for sure is unclaimed property. So
Okay.
unclaimed property is one place where a life insurance policy would be if someone had a payout and it went to like their estate. So
Uh-huh.
that's what happens if the beneficiary cannot be found or they're deceased. It goes to that person's estate. So that would be found at unclaimed property.
Okay.
But the lookup one, that's where you're looking if they had a life insurance policy in general. I have put my phone to do not to, on airplane mode. So let me see. So I
Mhm.
can give you that website.
You can just give me
It
the
is
name. Mhm.
yep, it's the Consumer Insurance Search Results, NAIC. So just look
Consumer.
life insurance policy lookup.
Oh, okay. Look up
Yeah.
life. Okay.
Insurance policy lookup. And that is a place you can put in the deceased person, and it will literally send a notice to anyone that ever inquired. So you will get a lot of notices like, oh, yeah, they had a policy, but it lapsed because they have to give you the information. But also, if there was an active policy, they will send out a payout to you, to the beneficiary listed.
All right. That's good to know
It is.
because a lot of people, honestly, we don't tell people. And I don't know why we don't tell people. Maybe because we think like we watch too many movies where they when somebody
It's
and let's be
always the life insurance policy.
yeah, and then let's be honest too. So this is my thing. Don't put anybody on your life insurance policy that you think would try to
That's what
kill
I
you.
said. I said the same thing. If you're worried about that, you got the wrong person on a policy because anyone, their life is way more valuable than their policy. And then also take it a step further and get a trust. Make the trust the beneficiary. Then that is an entity and not a person. A trust can't kill you. So you could do it that way too. But yes, I agree. If it's someone that you feel like will get rid of you for your policy, you need to question who you're listening as a beneficiary. Mhm,
Very true. Very
mhm.
true. And like it's so funny. um now that we're having this conversation, I'm like, it's some people I need to tell them that I have a life insurance policy and tell them where that policy is at. But I think we're so closed in about our finances that we
Mhm.
kind of put in the finance category, because rich people will tell you, oh, I made $1 million today. I'm
Mhm.
not gonna walk up to you, Whitney, and be like, girl, I'm making $10 an hour. I made $80 a day, So it's just it's a mindset thing. And so our mindset need to shift when it comes to insurance. Like you say, if I'm in the hospital and I'm in a coma, people are not going to know to pay my insurance policy, and say I paid it up. I had one more year and I'm done with it. But because I'm in the hospital, they like, oh, she just stopped paying it.
Mhm.
So you're right. We have to talk about this. We have to have this conversation with our family. I am so guilty. I hope ain't none of my family watching,
But
because
think
they gonna
about it
comment.
too. If you talk, like, let's say
Yeah.
you have a cousin or someone listed, you call your cousin up and you say, "Hey, I just wanted to let you know this is a company my policy is through." She might say, "You know what? I've been meaning to get life insurance."
Mhm.
Now you know sparked a conversation where she's like, wow, she's protecting me, let me make sure I'm protecting my loved ones. And it makes, like, it's a domino effect. But the most of my clients, I promise, I'll do them. They calling their parents, then calling me, their sisters calling me. And it's nice because I'm licensed in so many states, I can help everybody. And because it's like once one person do it, it opens the door for the entire family to begin to have a conversation to say, you know what, I need to be looking into that too.
Mm, that's right. You are so right. And so I'm gonna check mark myself to have a conversation with somebody in my family about my my end of life. And my auntie, she had tried to talk to me about it, but sometimes you like, especially when you get older, you be like, can we talk about that later? But you're right. We need to have that conversation. We can't be afraid to talk about our end of life because it's gonna come. So, all right, it's time for us to take a break. So, we're going to take a 60-second break. So, Miss Whitney, I'm going to turn the Ruby Girl Talk show over to you. And I want you to just talk to our audience, tell them whatever you want. But, of course, put your contact information. I'm going to go out there and see who's out there. I did see Miss Candace out there. Yeah, your friend, Miss Candace, because I got a friend. I got two friends that are named Candace, but I saw your friend, Miss Candace, out there. So go ahead, give us a 1 minute talk.
Okay, so I want to give, I always, this is one thing that I talk about a lot, is three things that I would not do if I was looking for life insurance. So the first thing that I'll say that I would not do if I was looking for life insurance is I would not delay. The life insurance policy that you've been thinking about getting is not going to pay out. If you're thinking about getting it but you haven't done it, it's no good to your family. So I would not continue to delay. The second thing that I would not do if I was looking for a life insurance policy is that I would not go with just the cheapest option. I would go with the option that really accomplished my goals. Now, I might go with the cheapest option that accomplished my goals, but my goals is always going to be the first thing that I'm trying to accomplish, and then price will be second. And last but not least, if I was looking for life insurance, I would think about today and then tomorrow. A lot of us buy life insurance policies for right now, and we say, okay, this will cover everything I need this to cover now, which is great. But then we forget about the legacy aspect of it. So, yes, if something happened to me now, the mortgage is paid off, my children are okay. But what if something happened in 30 years when that policy is gone? I haven't even planned for it. And the worst thing I could do is then try to buy something in my 60s because I waited so long to buy it and now it's really expensive. So I would rather do it in my 30s or even in your 60s buy it instead of having to wait till you're 80. Then you definitely don't want to see how much it costs. So I would make sure that I'm thinking about the future and what I need for now, but also what I need for later. So that's my little 1 minute spiel.
Okay, did you give us your contact information?
Again, I am the founder of Your Family Your Legacy. Your Family Your Legacy is my email Whitney at Your Family Your Legacy. I'm Your Family Your Legacy on all social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and you can find me at yourfamilyyourlegacy.com.
All right, girl. That was a very spotless presentation. So we got Candace Bigum out there. Hey, girl. Hey, hey. She said, hey, hey. She said, yeah, I don't want no one killing me for the $7 I'm leaving behind. We got Blair Cherie watching. We got Myra Graham out there watching. We have a few more people out there watching. Hey, y'all. Hey, y'all. If you have not shared, share. Share. This is a great time to share. We about to get to part two of the Ruby Girl talk. And thank you so much, Miss Whitney, for having this conversation. So we're going over to the second part of the show. So we're going to shift a little bit. But some things did fall into my mind how when we were talking about, remember when I said how the insurance man came to the house and good customer service, but you said that wasn't good. Well, people are finding out in their 70s and their 80s that the insurance they brought was not full life. I think it was term.
Yeah, some of them are turns. Some of
Yeah.
them just were not like great policies. They were reduced death benefit, so the death benefit is getting smaller now. That happens with a lot of work policies too. They retire, and then every year it decreases by like 5 or 10,000. They're like, oh, I thought I was leaving this much, but now it's not much. So yeah, that happens for sure.
I did not know that job policy can decrease like that.
Well, it's gonna be gone once you retire in most cases, but
Mhm.
sometimes they'll let you take it with you if you purchase a like depending on the type of policy, the type of retirement plan you do.
Mhm.
But yes, it will either be gone or it will decrease. So it's really important to just have a policy outside of your job. And a lot of things is just, to be honest, when you mentioned the whole insurance guy coming to the house and taking the payment, that was something that was a common practice. And the issue is that the agents who went to black communities, they had limited access, and they were very, and it wasn't always the best intentions, and not because they didn't care, but because at the bottom line they wanted to feed their family. So
Yeah.
I mentioned, we kind of talked about this a little bit a couple of days ago. Back in the day when life insurance, at one point they rated black individuals more for life insurance because it was called a race rating, because they have saw that black African Americans passed away younger than white Americans, which made sense with segregation, healthcare, food, all those things make sense that we were passing away sooner. Well, what was happening was when all the laws were passed in Jim Crow, they was told they could no longer do that. It was racist. They could no longer segregate policies by color. Well, the life insurance companies did not like that ideal, so they told their insurance agents, well, look, legally we cannot charge them more, but if you sell a large policy to an African American, we are not going to pay you commission, because we need them their policies to be smaller, because we're going to have to pay them out, and we do not want them to have large policies. And it might have been a lot of more stuff. It could have been other reasons why they wouldn't want us to have large policies, but that was one of the big things, was that they felt like they would have to pay them out if they were larger. So we would be presented $10,000, $20,000 policies. So yeah, they come into your house and they're giving you great customer service, but then they're going across town selling your neighbors $100,000 policies, and you wonder why, when their loved ones pass away, they able to remodel their house, they're able to take buy a vacation home in Florida. They're able to do all these things because they were being left a lot more than what we were being left. We were just being left enough to put our people in the ground, which we were grateful for, because at one point we didn't even have that. But it's all strategic. It's not a happenstance that we look at life insurance the way we look at it and other individuals look at it the way they look at it. Is literally have been generations upon generations of the way that we've been conditioned to view it and to see it, and then also present it to our families. So I remember one time I did an event, and I asked this young lady, I said, do you have a life insurance? She said, oh, yeah, everybody in my family has life insurance. I said, okay, what type of policies do you have? She said, I don't know, but we all have wonderful funerals. I said, sweetie, I'm not worried about you having a wonderful funeral. I want to make sure you leave that little girl something, because she had a daughter with her. Like, you got this twisted. I care less. Do not, I tell people all the time, do not put that money in the ground Leave it. Let your family be able to pay off some debt. Let your family be able to go on a cruise. Let them be able to live a life, maybe a little bit slightly better than what they're living, because you
Mm,
thought enough about them to have the policy in place. It is not about having a big funeral. And to be honest, we have to be careful, because funeral homes can sometimes take advantage of us when we come in and we're so emotional, and we have a $20,000 policy, and when in our mind it's for burial, right?
mm-hmm.
It's for
Yes,
burial. So I
yes.
should use every dime for burial. Why? Why should you use the entire $20,000 for burial when you could use 10,000 and then pay off taxes with the other 10? No one said you have to use that entire amount for burial. But if we coming in emotional and they showing us these suede caskets, and your loved one could have doves flying above them and all these things, and we just say they deserve it, they need it, like they love me so well. I want to what they send them off nicely. They gone in, they gone. They not even in there. I want to send them off nicely. And then you put yourself in a position where you're literally going back to the same predicament that you were in before they left, but now you have grief too.
So you know what? When you were saying that, I started thinking about the cultural differences in funerals.
Mhm.
Our funerals, we okay. Our funerals are, elaborate.
Grand.
Yeah, I went to other culture funeral. What was it, last year? Very simple. Just a pastor. There was no glove, no
A
doves.
business card obituary. No obituary. It was a mine was
I
a
don't.
business card.
It
She
wasn't
had a
even an
business card.
obituary. But you know what I found out? You know how we will beat the usher down if we do not get obituary.
Mhm,
You
mhm.
know, I had went to when I was at my job, we had went to one of our co-workers' funeral. Her mother passed away. Beautiful obituary. Oh my God. Do you know my colleague that's not of my light-skinned colleague, I'll put it like that. She threw the obituary away. I walked back there and it was in the garbage. I was like, "Oh, you threw it away?" She was like, "Yeah, I read it." And I'm like horrified because I'm like, we keep that. Our grandmothers will pull out all these obituaries. This great 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 grandmother, it'd be all rusty. And I'm like, we put all this money into the obituary like it's a book. Everything. People be at the funerals because I know first thing I want when I see a usher is like, I come for the obituary.
Yeah.
But you're right. We put all this money in the ground. The person is not even there. And you're right. We have to start thinking better towards money. Our mindset is so different when it comes to money. Proms. We spend so much money on proms when you can take that money and put it aside for education, put it aside for that person house down payment. We just as a culture have to start thinking differently. So that's why the wealth gap between cultures are so big. So how do you think we can start to bridge that gap? Or
I think
can we?
I think the first thing is to recognize that it's there, and to recognize what we're the decisions that we're making. Because like I realized even with the funerals, because I used to be mad about big funerals because I've had the same experience. I would go to co-workers funerals or friends, and they would have a business card. They gave us sandwiches on our way out the door, like it was no repast. It was like a Panera box. It was like have a nice day. And I was like, wow. But I had to realize that for so long, you think about the black community in slavery times, they couldn't even bury their loved ones. Like their loved ones passed away, they were just tossed aside. They didn't get time off to process that their loved one passed away. They just was like, okay, go back to work. They sometimes maybe work next to a loved one that passed away for hours before the people even came and got the body. We don't know how traumatic it was to be in that time and not be able to say a proper goodbye. So when the time came that they had the resources and the ability to be able to do so, they were like, we're going to make it nice. And I think that, but now fast forward, we're in a different place. Like we shouldn't have that same, we shouldn't be carrying that same trauma, that same responsibility that our great, 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 great grandparents carried, because that's not our story. And even in proms, I kind of get kind of like a little torn, because I feel like, some some families, that's the highlight. Unfortunately, the kid isn't gonna. If they do go to school, they might not finish. They're gonna like something like I've heard some stories where people say the mama lived in the project and then the daughter lived in the same project because of just the generational lack of knowledge, generational poverty, oppression. So that's the highlight. So I think it's one, we have to understand why it's there and give grace to the people that it's there for, right? Because some people, they need that. And I've heard stories where literally someone was murdered 6 months after prom, and their prom pictures were literally the obituary, and it was the highlight, and the family has that to rest on because it's all they have. So
Mhm.
being able to understand and not come from like a judgmental place, because I feel like I have, just because I feel like we could do better, but just because I'm there doesn't mean no one else is there, and I have to understand why they're where they are. But then two, starting off where we can, we might not have enough money that we can leave a huge legacy for our family. But what we can do is make sure that we're not taking from their savings. We're not taking from their kids' college fund. We're not taking from their 401k because we didn't plan properly. And now they have to pull money out of I've had heard stories. Yeah, I was able to borrow from my 401k to bury my mom or bury my dad. That shouldn't be the story. We shouldn't be literally leaving our family in a worse predicament. We can at least do the bare minimum and make sure we're covered. And if we start at childhood, when you have these young men, these young women in their, early twenties, and they begin to, stray or not stray, but we have 100K. If we could have 100K on every life, $100,000 for a 20-year-old is like $20. We spend that at McDonald's. If we can make sure that we're ensuring our young people, and if you haven't done it when they were a baby, at least definitely do it as soon as possible, especially early on, because there's so many things that a young person can do that could make them uninsurable. And this not even just from a medical standpoint. I talk about this. Autism can make a child uninsurable. Asthma can make a child uninsurable. A seizure can make a child uninsurable. So these are common things that we see. But now let's take it a step further. You still didn't insure them. None of that happened. So one, we should be insuring them at 14 days old. That's as early as you can insure a little one, 14 days old. So all those things I just mentioned usually don't happen until about between 1 and 3. That's when autism is shown, asthma, mostly start having seizures. Let's say you beat that. They didn't even have that. So now they're 10, 11, 12. They still don't have life insurance. Now they starting to get depressed because that's a big thing right now. Kids are getting depressed.
Mhm.
Kids are starting to maybe hang with a bad crowd. Now you have anxiety on their records, depression on their records, maybe robbery. Maybe they don't rob somebody. Now we have these things when the insurance company like, no, they're already showing that they're problematic. We're not going to insure them. So now this has made them uninsurable. So it's like we have all these stages in life that we can lock it in right before it hit, but we missed it. And then now I have situations where I had a lady who was trying to insure her child's father. She's like, Whitney, he in the streets. And his mom told me I should get a policy on him. And I was like, she should have got a policy on him because now he has all these felonies and no insurance company is going to give him a policy.
I'm glad you brought this out up because I never thought about the, like children not being able to be insured. And then, like you said, the lifestyles. And let's be honest, our young brothers definitely need a life insurance policy on them because you go to the funeral homes, it's young people in there just as well as older people. It used to be a time like when I was growing up, it was kind of rare that young people passed on. It was mostly old people funeral, but now it's so different now that it's just as maybe equal or even more that young people are passing away. They live reckless lives too, and like
Even
you
the
said,
ones that live
yeah,
a good life. Let's take it a step further. Do you know
yeah.
most life insurance policies offer some type of living benefit? And the living benefit is normally critical illness, chronic illness, terminal illness. So that means, God forbid, they get diagnosed with cancer. They have a heart attack, they have a stroke, they can pull some money from their death benefit, and that's on a term policy, which is the cheap one I just mentioned. That's the $25 policy. It comes, whole life has them too, but it can even be on a term. You
Mm.
pay $25 for a policy for $100,000 for your child. At 34, they get diagnosed with cancer, lose their job, and you say, "Hey, your policy has a living benefit." They get paid out 40,000, 50,000, like because you plan for whatever might happen. So yeah, they might not pass away, but what if they just get sick?
And you're right, because it used to be cancer was an old person disease. That's what we
Oh,
called it growing up. But now it's a every person disease.
heart
You,
attacks. I have 39-year
yes.
olds with heart attacks, aneurysms, diabetes. Diabetes is running rapid. And
Uh,
a lot of people have it, and then young people have it. I mean, young people like 22, 25, and they're not taking care of themselves. And that would be a decline. A life insurance company would decline that young person, and now you have to kind of settle for whatever I can find because I can insure anybody, but those aren't going to be the best policies. They're not going to be the ones that's going to. Why not have a policy that if you do get sick, they pay you out early? Or why not have a policy that has a larger death benefit? You don't want to have to settle for crumbs because you waited so long and you only can give what they're willing to give you. You can't make the best pick. You can't say, I want that company because that company said, we don't want you.
because you know what? Even stars, if you think about it, they're passing away now without life insurance policy. One guy, I forgot what, um, he passed away, and his family had to do a GoFundMe. They raised 2 point something million or something like that because he didn't have an insurance policy. And I think he ended up with cancer too. And we know they should be able to afford insurance. But I think what it is, insurance doesn't have the value to us, to people, that it used to back in the days. And it's only a lack of education. So I'm glad that people like you, Miss Whitney, is out here educating us, making us think about stuff like this. Like your child might be autism, get them insured before. I didn't even think about that they would deny a child because they had autism. I
My
don't see the
daughter,
risk in it.
my daughter, healthy, no issues, right?
Yeah.
No issues. February, my daughter is about to be 5. In February, I was laying in the bed. It was really, really late. She happened to be in the bed with me. I feel her hitting my leg, like rhythmatic. I'm like, Riley, stop hitting me. She still hit me. I rolled her over. Her eyes are wide open. I'm like, something's wrong. So I'm like trying to wake her up. She's not waking up. Like she's up, but she's not like responding.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, babe, I would tell my husband. He jumps up. Once he jumps up, he's trying to wake her up. She just starts throwing up all over the place. I said, call the ambulance. We call the ambulance. We get them on the line. I was like, I really think she's having a seizure. They said, grab her, put her on the floor. We put her on the floor in the hallway. They sent in the truck in. We took her to emergency. She ended up having a seizure. All the tests and stuff, they said, oh, she has epilepsy. If I wouldn't have had her a policy, that would have changed everything.
Oh, wow.
Like that. That was the how, like, I mean, literally 1 minute, everything changed.
Hmm.
I have a client right now who did a policy. We just did a policy for his dad. I said, I talked to him today. We were trying to see where is the policy at. He said, my dad was hit by a car today.
Oh,
Like
no.
that. We have gotten so used to just things not happening that we
Mhm.
assume that they won't.
Oh, wow. This is good, Whitney. This is a very great conversation. And I wish a million people could hear this. A
I know.
million.
I wish I
Because
had a microphone. Get life insurance.
just fly you over every state that you license in, get life insurance. And so you're really making me think. And if you're out there and you're watching, put in the chat how this talk is affecting you. Did you know some of these things that we're talking about tonight? Is this stuff new to you? Because it's new to me. And it's stuff that we don't think about. So you're giving us a whole different perspective. So before we go, I want you to give us some parting advice on how to leave a legacy for our family. And just tell us a little bit, even though you talked about what legacy does for future generations, but just remind us one more time. Give us some parting advice that you know that we need.
So my parting advice would be to follow me on social media and look at some more videos. My parting advice would be if you watch this video and you know you don't have anything, schedule a free call with me and let's look at some options. My goal is to always, I tell people the best policy is the one you can afford. So as much as I want to accomplish your goals, I'm going to accomplish your goals within your budget. So that's important to me. I will also suggest, I think it's really important that we begin to have these conversations with our family. I will come to your family reunion. Okay. So if you have a family reunion and it's Friday, y'all do a fish fry. I had one of my clients invited me to the family reunion with an estate attorney and we tag teamed it. So we like life insurance and estates and wheels. Like we're gonna get the complete picture right here today. No one's gonna walk away from not being insured. So I think that's a really great idea. I wish that more families had that mindset that we're gonna make sure everyone has the information. So there's no excuses. That if something happened, you knew because we talked about it here. So I think that that's important. I would love to like connect. I would love to share this information. There's so much more I could say, and I don't want to give like information fatigue. It's so much information, and that's why it's so important to get a one-on-one call because then we can have a conversation. I can hear what you're trying to accomplish. I can see what your family looks like, and then I can present what's good for you instead of me just giving you just broad information that does not benefit you and your family. So.
Hmm.
Your
Okay.
Family, Your Legacy, all over social media, your legacy.com. Connect with me.
Okay. You still got to give us 2 minutes to part, 2 minutes parting words too. But that advice was fantastic. Everything that you said tonight was what we needed to know that we didn't know, but now we know. So now we're accountable. It's like
That was
salvation.
true.
You came and saved us. Now we're thinking differently. Now you should have conversations with your friends. Share this Ruby Girl talk with your friends and be like, look, these are some things you haven't even thought about. Start to think about your goddaughter when they're born, your godson when they're born. Talk to the parents to put insurance on them and tell them why. Now it's okay. I'm a guy mom. I'm not the best, but I'm trying. But I'm a guy parent. But now I'm thinking differently, like, because my goddaughter has autism.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, can she be insured now? I'm really, thinking about a lot of different things. And like you say, it doesn't happen until maybe when they're like 1, 2 years old or whatever. And if she was insured 14 days after she was born, and like you say, we put
I think
insurance on our car before we leave because we don't want it's such an asset. But your child life is the biggest asset that you have, and you gotta protect your child. Like you say, you never know if your child will get cancer. You gotta think ahead, not now, but ahead. So I want to thank you, Whitney, for coming tonight. So I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to close out. Give us a great, fantastic close out that'll make us just tremble and contact you and be like, girl, I need to talk with you. But thank you so much for what you do. What you do
no,
is very important.
I really appreciate it. And I thank you for this opportunity for allowing me to be on your podcast and talk about it because it truly is important. And I'm always grateful when it resonates with people and they determine, you know what, I want to share my audience with you. I want to share my platform with you so you can get the information out. So I appreciate you. And again, it's important. I can't talk about it enough. Get it early, get it outside your job, get it while you're young and while you're healthy. I always tell people, and I don't care if you're 70, you're young, you're younger than 80. And if you're 80, you're younger than 90 because at 90, nobody is going to insure you. Okay. So you're young, you're the youngest, and you're the healthiest you possibly would. You're definitely the youngest you'll ever be, but you possibly the healthiest you will ever be. What you do know is where you are now. You don't know what you're going to be. So I have sometimes people will say, well, as soon as I get my blood pressure down, I'm gonna get some life insurance. As soon as I lose some weight, I'm gonna get life insurance. Why would you risk not having it
Hmm.
for that time? It could get worse, or you might not make it. I always hope the second worst thing that could happen with you not being insured and you're thinking about getting it is you get sick and you become insurable. That's the second worst thing that can happen. The first worst thing that can happen is you die.
I'm sorry, my face. She's so blunt.
That is the first. That's the worst thing that can happen is you die. Now the second worst thing is pretty bad, but the worst thing is that's pretty terrible. So yeah, just get it. Just take care of it. I just like I am on this call, I am on my financial planning call. I'm not trying to be doom and gloom. I laugh a lot. I try to make sure it makes sense for you and your family. I try to make sure that we can accomplish all the goals and we can check all the boxes, and then when you walk away, not only do you have a great policy, but you understand your policy. I don't want to just put you in something. Okay, another thing, review your policies. If y'all got life insurance, review those policies and make sure that it's still a good fit, because things change. So you know, people have their first wives as their beneficiaries and they married to their second wife and they haven't updated it, and then they die, and the first wife get the money, and you think she gonna get that money to the second wife? Not at all. So make sure we're reviewing our policies and make sure that we know that the information is up to date and that the policy still makes sense. Because it might have made sense when you were 20 or 30 and you were single, but now you're married. Or it might have made sense when you were working and you had your work policy too, but now you're retired. So just keep lookout at what you have and make sure that it makes sense for today.
Right. Give us that contact information.
Again, Whitney Thompkins, founder of Your Family, Your Legacy. I'm Your Family, Your Legacy on all social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Your Family, Your Legacy is the website, yourfamilyyourlegacy.com. Whitney at Your Family, Your Legacy is my email address. And I look forward to connecting with you all.
All right. Thank you, Miss Whitney. So,
You're
hey,
welcome.
everybody, we have come to the close of the Ruby Girl talk. And I can say you put a lot on my mind, a lot that I have to, that, I didn't face, but now I have to face because I don't want people, I know to be stressed out about my end of life. I've seen people fight and be stressed out, and it's just unnecessary because you can't go ask the person, where did you put the policy at? Or did you have a policy? They just gone. And then 9 times out of 10, you can't get in their phone, even if they had anything in there. So
Mhm.
it's no, you just have to search and look and pray and beg, and like that's probably why when you usually look at the unclaimed money, all you see is like insurance companies on there. Matter of fact, my name did appear on one of my great grandmother policy had got cashed in, and I was the beneficiary, but I couldn't get the money because I had to prove where we used to stay at. I was like 14. I didn't have any mail going there. And then where I came from, they didn't have my school records anymore. So even
Wow.
though I could prove who I was, social security number and stuff, they were not going to give it to me because I had no proof of address. So it's very important to tell everybody, have a conversation with somebody about your insurance policy. Leave a note somewhere where they can find it. Put it in your wallet and your purse or something. Is that
No,
okay?
I think it is. And like I know some people who have like an envelope that says, if I'm no longer here, read this envelope. I
Okay.
will say go a step further and tell somebody, because God forbid there's a fire or something happens to the house or the documents. Now you thought you were planning ahead, but you didn't communicate and they don't know where it is. So to go a step ahead, maybe send an email to someone and say, open if I'm no longer here. And
Okay.
then they will be able to at least find it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Whitney. Thank you for everybody that stuck with us tonight and watch. And make sure if you didn't share that you share. Add some comments because I'm quite sure Miss Whitney gonna go out there and see what you said. I'm definitely gonna go back and comment and thank you for watching the Ruby Girl Talk. So next Tuesday at 8:30 p.m. I have another fantastic guest. It seems like this year I'm educating people more with the guests that's on my show. It's like God wants us to know certain things and stop skipping over things and overlooking things. Get our business affairs together. Let's be honest. So, all right, Miss Whitney. And all right, we're signing off. Me and Miss Whitney will probably talk a little bit more, but I'm sorry, y'all. We have to go. I'll see you next Tuesday at 8:30. Y'all have a blessed and wonderful night. And thank you for watching.